The reason African countries are getting help from China and getting help from Russia is not because CNN and the BBC want you to think that, oh, Russia and China are tricking them and debt trapping them, quote unquote, right? Like the BBC and CNN and all these Western outlets, they speak about African leaders like they're stupid, like they're children or something. Like they don't know what's good for them. They need the white European, the white American to come tell them what's good for them. Well, what did that get them? How long has France been in Africa, in the Sahel? Have they dealt with the Islamist threat that the BBC mentioned? Have the Americans dealt with this threat? America and France are the very reason this problem exists. Never mind the neo-colonial problem with the theft of resources, which I just explained. I know you guys already know this, but Al-Qaeda as well. This goes back to the 80s. The CIA funded Al-Qaeda, and it helped create Al-Qaeda and especially Al-Qaeda and the Taliban out of the Mujahideen, which they financed and funded and trained in the Cold War. These are all problems of America's making. This is historical fact. You don't need me to tell you this, but I am here to say it because no one else will. The BBC and CNN want to lie. They want to act like America and France and Britain are the military and political and economic saviors of Africa. No, they're not. This is why Wagner is present in Africa, because African countries are soliciting their services, because these European and Western countries can't get the job done. They're incompetent or unwilling, or both. One funny thing I read was that clearly the presence of Wagner is pointless and ineffective. Why? Because now that Wagner has been deployed inside these countries like the Central African Republic or Mali, the attacks from Islamist groups have risen. Yeah, they've risen because Wagner are doing their job. When they're actually attacking these terrorist groups, they're retaliating against the country. The reason you don't have those attacks when the Americans are around is because the Americans are letting them be. Do you understand? The Americans, like we explained, as I was telling you guys when we looked at Syria, everywhere you find ISIS, they kill an ISIS leader, guess who's there? It's an area occupied by Turkey, a NATO country, or the United States, another NATO country, right? What a coincidence. And Israel, which openly admitted to helping Al-Qaeda in Syria. Hand in glove, right? These groups, whether it's Al-Qaeda or we're talking about ISIS, whether it's in Middle East or it's in Africa, they go hand in glove with Israel, with the West, and as I said, Libya. I mean, Libya's descended into chaos. I mean, it looks nothing like how it was under Gaddafi. And now, a lot of people end up drowning in the Mediterranean because they're trying to escape neocolonialism. They're trying to escape economic situations that are so horrible. Who created these economic situations? It's the West. I'm sorry, but this is the truth. Any self-respecting person, especially if you're British and or from one of these colonial countries, you will admit that. You have to admit that. It's your duty. It's your duty to admit that. People at the BBC don't want to admit that. They think it's Putin who's doing propaganda. No, it's not propaganda. This is history. Shame on you.